Have you ever looked at something and told yourself, I want to try that? That's called being inspired. All of you are inspired. I'm inspired myself. Who here has heard of a game called Street Fighter? This game was my inspiration, and it all started when I was 13 years old. I'd come home from school every day and play Street Fighter 3 on the Xbox with my older brother. He chose Ryu, and I chose Ken. These two characters are the poster boys of the Street Fighter series. Ryu and Ken, they are the vanilla and the chocolate, the red and the blue, the player 1 and the player 2. Now, whenever we played this game, he would constantly beat me, and I remember on one particular day, right as I was going to give up, Ryu said something to me. So when a character wins the match, they say a win quote on screen, and Ryu said, "A defeat learned from is more important than an empty victory." I didn't really know what this quote meant at the time, but it kept me playing just a little bit longer. Loss after loss, I'd come across the quote a few times, and it made me think. That following summer, school had just gotten out, and I had more time on my hands. My brother and I played more Street Fighter, and that's when I had an idea. What if I created something just like that? In Street Fighter, it wasn't just a fighting game to me. It was about the emotion, the excitement, and the bond that it had between my brother and I. And that's something that I wanted to recreate. I had a few years of programming experience prior to this, but it was nothing ever finished. But with my brother's help, we could motivate each other to finish this, as we were both inspired by this game. So I asked my brother, would you like to help me draw a few characters and I and Trade would program the game? He said yeah, and that's when I told him we would work on the game every day. Whenever we thought of something cool, we would add it to the game, and we'd keep working on it till we're satisfied. About halfway through, we eventually started to give up, but whenever we did, the other one was there to push us. And that's when we made this. Now, despite it having a very poor artistic style and being a buggy mess of gameplay, it was something we were proud of as we took a step forward and created something. We created the bond, the excitement, and the emotion that we had from playing Street Fighter. This was our game. And we also had a game to play for the rest of the summer, so that was pretty good. Shortly following the development of that, school had just resumed, and I was in high school at the time. I played fighting games competitively for the first 2 years of high school, branched off from games like Street Fighter into other ones like Mortal Kombat. Played in tournaments and even won a few. But before I had to win, I had to lose. A lot. Over and over and over again. But when I started to win, I started to understand how the games were played. I started to understand how the games were made. And that's when I was introduced to a game called Super Smash Bros. By a friend. There was a tournament coming up for it, and he wanted me to enter with him. The game was kind of like an action-adventure game, meeting a traditional fighter like Street Fighter. It was really interesting, and I liked it. So we practiced and practiced and practiced until we thought we were the best players in the area. But then we stopped practicing, went to the tournament, and lost very badly. Didn't even win a single match. But I got that feeling. It felt like playing Street Fighter with my brother all over again. I experienced the excitement, the emotion, and the bond with my friend and by meeting new people. So that's when I asked myself, what if I tried something just like that? Then I remembered my previous game, and comparing it to these games that I've been playing recently, it just didn't compare. It wasn't good enough. So I asked my friend what I should do, and he told me to just learn from my mistakes, and that's when I remembered the spark. The spark when Ryu said to me, "A defeat learned from is more important than an empty victory." This game that I made, it was a victory. It was something that I was proud of, but compared to what I am playing now, it just didn't compare. It wasn't that great. Victory was empty. It was a defeat. But taking this defeat, I can learn from it. And that's when I can make something greater. I went home that day and created this. It was more like Smash Bros. I decided to focus on the gameplay first and get to the art later. I posted a video on Facebook in the Super Smash Bros. Discussion group. I got a lot of attention, a couple hundred likes within the first few hours, actually. I had people who loved the game, wanted to see more of it. I had people who wanted to help with the game, and I had people who told me I was an inspiration to them. That's the first time somebody's ever told me that. So out of excitement, I rushed and I made a Facebook page for the game. Everybody started to call this guy Snowman. And we started to slowly flesh out this character. My brother, he wasn't living with me at the time. He moved out of the house. We were getting older. So the community was my brother. We made this game. I started to look into the help of others, and that's when there was a guy who offered music, and another one who told me they were going to flesh out the animations and make the game look a lot better. And when I let them help, the game really took off. It looked a lot better, it sounded amazing, and it played a lot better. But I considered quitting various times. I'd refer to the quote, "A defeat learned from is more important than an empty victory," whenever I hit an obstacle, and that would help me get over it. Worked on the game for about a year. Development got really, really serious. The team and I got closer and closer together, and everything started to gain momentum, but then everything stopped and it was canceled. The guy who did the soundtrack told me he lost interest in the game. He got a full-time job in a salt mine. The guy who helped me with the art finished college. He got an IT degree. Myself, I was alone. I just finished high school at the time, and this game was dead. I attended Scott Community College, and I worked at a video game store part-time, so that was pretty cool. I'd tell my coworkers about this game that I made, but there was one in particular who was interested in it more than others. I remember late night shifts, we would talk about these games that we wanted to make, essentially our dreams, and that's when he showed me an idea of a game he wanted to make. He's a freelance artist, so he drew characters, a whole list of characters, and he told me their backstories and everything. He even showed me voice impressions of the characters too. And that's when I asked him, "How long have you been thinking of this?" And he told me 5 years. And that's when I told him, maybe I can help, but just give me some time to think. A few days passed, and that's when he approached me. He told me he had another idea. There was an event in 2 months called Anime Iowa. It's the largest anime convention in Iowa with over 3,000 attendees each year. The plan was to demo the game there for a weekend. Our skill sets coming together would create the ultimate collaboration. But it takes commitment and hard work. We would have to meet every Sunday after work and work on the game. I didn't really know if I could do this, but I went with it. We met every Sunday, we would eat a little bit of food and talk about our favorite fighting games and play some, and then we would get to work. We poured hours and hours of work into the game. And we got closer and closer, but the deadline was coming. Then we got this. This was created 6 times faster than any project I've ever made. And what did we do with this? We made it. We went to Des Moines. We stayed in a hotel. We ate expensive hotel food. But most importantly, we demoed the game at Anime Iowa. Imagine hundreds of people playing the game that you made. Imagine the faces of people as they were overjoyed to play the game that you made. People dropping phone numbers, business cards, and names to help you with the game that you made. We even had a tournament for the game in which one of the people said that they were going to pass out during, and we told him if he did, he would be disqualified. And he didn't pass out. But I also had the person come up to me and tell me I was an inspiration to them. They soon hoped to make a game just like mine. And here I am today, still going strong in development with only the best to come, and that's because I'm confident in my work. It's funny, I make fighting games, the two-player genre of video games. Without a player 2 on the other side of the screen, you can't fight. I learned from making these 3 games that you need your player 2 no matter what. Whether it's friends, family, or community, they are there to help you. And by helping them, you inspire them. And they in return inspire you and bring you places that you never thought you would have been before, ever. Whatever it is in your life that inspires you, take it. Keep on fighting. Take that step forward. Remember what Ryu said, a defeat learned from is more important than an empty victory, and reach out. Thank you.